Hey, what up, YouTube? I'm back again with another movie review. The movie I'm about to review is called a Serbian film. But before we get into it, subscribe to my channel. And since YouTube is so sensitive, whatever, I have to be careful about what I say because this movie that I'm about to do was banned in different countries. So listeners' discretion is advised. And without any further ado, this is my movie review. This is I believe it's a European film about a man named Milios. He's married to a woman named Maria, and they have a small son named Petra. And Milios has a brother named Marcos, who's a crooked cop and obsessed with Milios' wife, Maria. And Milios used to be like a famous adult films actor. So as soon as this movie starts, it shows his son watching one of his old movies. And his parents had to explain to him like what was going on in the movie. Then Milios' friend Layla called his phone and said, "Hey, I know you need money, and I'm hooked up with this rich guy named Volkmir. He's a film director and wants to work with you." Okay, so Milios meetups with Volkmir. The money is good, and Milios signed the contract. And he has to do 6 scenes. But the contract states that Volkmir is not going to tell Milios about the movie. Volkmir told him, "You're not supposed to know. If you know, then it won't be so good." So the next day, Volkmir sent Raja, his one-eyed security guard, to pick up Milios and take him back to the set. When Milios gets there, he's given a small earpiece so the director can give him directions on what to do. And Volkmir has police who are working as security guards follow Milios around with the camera. That's his camera crew. Okay, so the first scene is he walks into an orphanage and he sees a young girl named Jeka sitting on the steps with her mother, Anna. Anna walked up and slapped her, and then the scene ends. Okay, day 2. The second scene is Anna and Jeka's teacher fighting over Jeka. Anna ended up slapping Jeka again. The security guard drags her away. Then the teacher guides Milios into a dark room and starts to go down on him. So the director put a video of Jeka on a big screen for Milios to watch while he's getting head, but Milios just closed his eyes. So when he got home, Milios called his brother like, "Yo, Marco, I need you to do this background check on Volkmir." So Marco agrees. Then when Marco hangs up the phone, you see him watching Milios' home videos while getting some head. And you could tell Marcos was really obsessed, and like kind of jealous of his brother. Okay, so now it's time for the third scene. Milios is brought into a dimly lit room, and when they take him into the room, they took the blindfold off of him, and he sees Anna on her knees getting slapped around by one of the security guards. Then after she was beat up, Anna crawled towards Milios and starts to go down on him. So Milios closed his eyes, and then when he opened it back up, her daughter Jeka appears out of nowhere and was sitting in a chair watching this. So Milios stopped and started yelling, saying, "What is this? I can't work like this." And while he was yelling, one of the security guards named Luca, well, I'm going to call him Luca, Luca came up from behind him and started choking Milios. Then Anna bit down on Milios and then started sucking it again. Then the security guard and Luca and Jeka told Milios to hit Anna. So he started punching on her and she started to cry, but she kept on working. Then when Milios was finished, in her mouth, Volkmir opens the door and says, "Bravo, bravo." So Milios got mad and he just knocked Luca out, and then he left out of the room. So the next day, Marco called and said Volkmir used to be a psychologist in an orphanage, and he worked on children's television shows for many years. Then he started working with state security, and that's how he knows all those police officers. Then he became a filmmaker. Okay, so the next day, Milios went to Volkmir's house and was telling Volkmir, like, "I quit. I can't do this anymore. You got this little girl around. Like, I don't know what's going on." So Volkmir started talking to him. Then he gave Milios a drink, but he spiked his drink with a Viagra that was made for bulls. And then he showed him a sneak peek of his new film. Oh, my God. It was a movie about a woman giving birth, and Raza, his security guard, had delivered the baby. He gave it a smack on the butt, and then he got naked, and he violated that newborn while the mother was smiling and watching. Then, after seeing this, Milios just got sick, and he walked out the room. Like, he just wanted to leave. While he was leaving, Volkmir was screaming out, "Newborn corn! Newborn corn!" Y'all know what I'm saying. After that, Milios woke up at home 3 days later, all beat up. He could not find his wife. He couldn't find his son. He couldn't reach his brother. He was peeing out blood and trying to remember what happened to him. So Milios just drove to Volkmir's house to confront him, but he wasn't there. As Milios was walking around, his memory started to come back to him. So Milios remembered that when he left Volkmir's house the first time, he was driving home and he started feeling real horny. When Milios stopped at the red light, Volkmir's female doctor, I'm going to call her Dr. Heidi. So Dr. Heidi walked up to Milios' car. She got in and she seduced him. And then after that, she drove Milios back to Volkmir. And the camera crew was waiting for him because now it's time for him to film his fourth scene. In this scene, Anna was handcuffed to the bed. He got on top of her, and the director was talking to him through an earpiece, saying like, Anna used to do bad things to Jekka, so you need to hit her. Now, this drug made him aggressive, and he's going to do whatever they tell him to do. So Milios was punching Anna in the back, and then out of nowhere, a machete was in his hand, and he sliced her head with it. But he kept pumping while her body was lifeless. So the security guards had to come in and pry him up off of her. Then the memory came to an end, and he started throwing up. After that happened, Milios went into the other room and found some tapes. So he took all the tapes and then he left Volkmir's house and went into the woods so he could watch him. He seen his friend Layla about to get it in with a donkey. And then there's a video of Milios unconscious and getting raped by Luca. And Luca was laughing. Then he seen Dr. Heidi drugging him up. And then he found a video of Layla talking to Volkmir, saying like, y'all went too far with Milios. Y'all shouldn't have did him like that. I quit and Milios quit. I'm taking him home. So after that, the next film is her all beat up and naked, with her teeth pulled out, and she's chained to the ceiling. So this masked man put his hard member in her mouth and kept it there. So Layla died by suffocation. After seeing this, his memory came back, and Milios remembered being at his fifth scene. He was sitting in the living room with Jekka and her grandmother. Jekka's grandmother started talking to him, trying to give Jekka's virginity to him, the same way her father took hers. And the whole time while she's talking, the little girl is looking at Milios with red lipstick on and rubbing his knee, like trying to be seductive. So he saw this and was like, no, I can't do this. So he just jumped out of the window. When Milios escaped, he called his brother Marco from the payphone and told him where he was and said, come pick me up. Then Milios sat down on the ground and waited for his brother. While he was sitting there, he saw a woman being harassed by a couple of men. And then the Viagra that they gave him had him so horny that he started looking at the woman and massaging his member in front of everybody. So when the men saw this, they just started beating him up and calling him a pervert. After that, the security guards pulled up and they killed the men that was beating up Milios. They retrieved Milios, got him in the car, and he was in a back seat with Volkmir. And then Volkmir told Milios, look, I have the perfect ending for you. So they took him back to the warehouse, and Dr. Heidi came in the room to give him more drugs. But Milios grabbed the syringe, stabbed her in the neck with it, and then he assaulted her with the metal pipe, and he walked out of the room. Okay, so his memory ends there. So now back to his reality. Milios drove to the warehouse that he remembered they took him to before. Then he went inside. When he got in there were dead bodies on the ground. Then his memory came back again. He remembered that after he left the room with Dr. Heidi, he walked inside another room to film scene number 6. At scene number 6, there were 2 naked people that were drugged up and laying on a bed, and the top half of their body was hidden. So at first, they made Milios get on top of the bigger woman that was under the covers. Then when, he pumped for a little bit, then Milios started having sex with the smaller person that was under the cover. And when he looked to his right, the masked man who killed Layla was right there on top of the woman that he just got off of. So Volkmir got real excited when he seen this. And then he took the mask off of Layla's killer. It was his own brother, Marco. So they were both humping these 2 unknown people while looking at each other. Then Volkmir took the mask off the bigger person that Marco was on top of, and it was Milios' wife, Maria. Then Milios' eyes got real wide because Volkmir took the mask off of the person that he was on top of, and it was his own son. So the wife started to wake up out of her slumber. She looked up and she seen that her husband was on top of their son, and Marco was behind her. Then all of a sudden, Dr. Heidi walked in the room. She was foaming out of the mouth, and she had a lot of blood coming from between her legs, and she had the metal pipe in her hands. Then Dr. Heidi fell down. Right after she fell to the ground, Milios got off of his son and attacked Volkmir. And while Volkmir was dying, he was on the ground saying, Like, that's it, Milo. That's cinema. Like, he was really, he was psyched out. He was crazy. Then Maria jumped on Marco, bit through his neck, and then she crushed his head with the statue. So Milios ended up getting a gun from the security guards and shooting the rest of the camera crew. And remember the guy, Raja, with the one eye? So Milios unalived him by sticking his into Raja's empty eye socket. Then Maria was about to stab her husband, but he knocked her out. Then he took his family home and locked them in a room. And that was the end of his memories. Okay, back to reality. He left the warehouse. He drove home, and then he let his family out of the locked room. Like, they were all traumatized and going crazy. So one day, Maria and Milios decided, like, it's time for this to end. They laid in the bed, they hugged each other, and Milios put a gun to Maria's back and positioned it so the bullet will go through all three of them. Then he pulled the trigger. After that, another director and his camera crew was standing over their corpse. So the director told one of the security guards, hey, start with the little one. Then the guards start to unzip his pants, and then the scene ends. Okay, so my opinion. This was a stupid ass film that's not even in English, and I had to read all of those damn subtitles. So the director can kiss my ass before I get to wipe it. And now I understand why it was banned in all of those countries. A Serbian film contains necrophilia, pedophilia, rape, corrupt police officers, snuff film, sodomy, misogyny, bestiality, manipulation, exploitation, torture, mental abuse, grooming, drugs, extreme violence, suicide, homicide, and newborn porn. So I am not going to rate this movie, but I think you all should look at it so we can be disgusted together. And I'm out, YouTube. Y'all just subscribe to my channel and get ready for my next movie review. Bye.